Hola and welcome to Renacer McGlynn. We're the McGlynn family starting fresh in Andalusia, Spain, restoring an off-grid farm into a self-sufficient haven. Join us.
Hey guys, back with another video. In one of our previous videos we received a great question asking about where we found our house. We answered in the comments, but we thought it was too good of a story to just put in the comments, so I thought we'd make a video.
So here it is.
Let's dive in.
Okay, so step one for us was picking the right area.
We didn't just stumble upon where we brought in Almeria. We actually started our search by talking to the great folks over at Off Grid Only in Spain. They were massively singing Spain's praises, saying how good it is, and that they couldn't recommend it highly enough. They'd left the UK and had 2 young kids, or maybe 1 young kid, I can't remember exactly. But they were just saying about how great their life had been since they'd moved across to Spain and how thankful they were for making the decision. I think just that conversation alone put our minds at ease with the kids that actually this wasn't an absolutely crazy move, and was something that we'd be able to do. We knew what we were trying to achieve. We knew we had 40k or so around that, because we knew we didn't want to be in debt. We wanted to have no debt anymore. We were fed up being financial slaves.
Definitely.
And that we knew that this was what was going to give us freedom to be able to live and enjoy our lives and not be a slave to somebody else, working our asses off for paying off obligations.
Definitely. Yeah, we've actually been together since we were 19 and 20, I think it was, and we've just straight away had so many obligations, both financially and with pets and stuff like that, and it was just getting to the point where we've never actually experienced freedom as an adult. So we was like, it is definitely time to do this now. We've got our own company, so we're now able to look into this in more detail, and we've just decided it was definitely the right time for us, didn't we?
Yep. So we got on to Idealista and ThinkSpain. They're the 2 big property websites. There are some other little ones. We'll link them all down below in the description at the end of the video. But there are some great resources online now to look for houses. And we knew with our budget it was going to be kind of a difficult search really for us to find what we wanted. But we knew that search was going to lead us to look inland. Obviously nothing at the beach or around the coast for that sort of price, which is completely expected. But that actually worked really nicely with what we wanted anyway, didn't it? We wanted land, we wanted space. We spoke about in our previous video about one of our major requirements was that land and that space growing up with the kids.
And it's being away from all the hustle and bustle day to day, but having it within easy reach, wasn't it?
Yeah, 100%. So we were, with that we started searching. Obviously Idealista and ThinkSpain showed us some regions where we could get those, kind of a property that we were looking for in kind of that budget. And we were also searching on YouTube, great resource.
It really is, yeah.
There was a couple of channels that we almost became religious in our watching. It was like 2 or 3 videos every day.
We were definitely a bit obsessed. It was like, let's see if they've got any new properties on, wasn't it?
Yeah. One of them was Inland Andalusia, and the other one was a channel called Rusticom. Again, we'll link them below for anyone that is looking for kind of properties in that region. And there are some great resources on there, and some great properties actually. I think we had a look again last night, not that we're looking, but just to see what was around now for the making of this video, and there are still certainly some really good properties around.
There was another good thing with that as well. It actually brings up areas that you must probably have never heard of before. Because obviously with Inland Andalusia, we hadn't really looked at that as a region before, had we? We were kind of looking more towards Barcelona and places like that, because like the places we've been to a bit more. And yeah, just by looking at these, well, actually it's really beautiful, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So then we were like, we're going to have a look around this area as well. Yeah.
Excellent.
Glad we did. Okay, so step 2, the search begins.
So we'd spent far too many hours of our life looking at YouTube channels of Spanish houses, we decided that it was time that we just got up and went and looked.
Yeah.
So we'd kind of, from everything we'd seen, we knew around actually where we have our house now, that was the area we were likely going to settle on. We'd seen a number of properties around there. We'd seen a number of good reviews of the area. Whenever you looked on forums or on Facebook groups and things like that, there was always positive comments about the area where we live now, and actually how good it had been for, I guess, expats is the technical term, I guess, immigrants in that area. So we knew that was going to be where we were heading. So we booked our first trip over to look at a couple of houses. We actually can't find the footage from that trip anywhere at all, so we've completely lost that footage.
Yeah, so there's lots more houses that we saw that we'd like to share. I mean, we might find it at some point, and if we do, we'll put them up, because it's good for you guys. I mean, the more access you have to what's available out there and what you could potentially get for the budget, the better.
Yeah.
Like, we know from looking, we're like, just give us more, we want more, didn't we?
Yeah, 100%. And as part of that trip, we took the kids and we stayed in it was an Airbnb, but it was a refurbished stables. So it was an old stables that had been refurbished into a really, really nice Airbnb. But we got a really good experience, or a really good feel for off-grid life in Spain there. It had electric, had water, but it didn't have things like heating or anything like that. And it was February or March, and it was
cold.
The house had been empty more or less the whole of winter, so that cold had seeped into the walls, and it was freezing. So it kind of opened our eyes up straight away to going off grid and doing off grid work is tough, and it's not going to be a holiday home. It's a proper home, and it's and you've got to work on it, and you've got to make it your own while you're there and make it comfortable for you to live. Particularly in those winter months, Spanish houses are designed to keep the heat out, not to keep warmth in. So they do get very cold over the winter. And then what we also did kind of on that trip was we'd drive around. So we stayed in a small town called Lazzarus on that trip. And some of the houses we'd seen, we'd driven through where we live now, and we'd kind of looked and gone, oh, this is lovely, and everything like that. And so when we went back to the UK to continue our search, we were like, right, we know we like this area.
Yeah.
Let's go and see, let's have another look around, spend some more time looking online, seeing if we find anything else, and let's book another trip.
Yeah, so as we were doing all of this, we were kind of breaking properties down to certain areas, and we were trying to figure out which ones we were going to see when, because we wanted to make sure that when we went out there, it wasn't overwhelming us and just looking at loads of properties. We wanted to have like 2 or 3 properties lined up, and then it just gave us free time to go out exploring with the kids and see what it had to offer and just get a real feel for the area. And I would definitely recommend that for anyone doing it. Just take your time. Like, we were so excited, and we do rush into a lot of things, but we knew that this is like a whole new life, and we've got to, as much as possible, get it right, not just for us, but for the kids as well. So yeah, we really took that time to look at the local area.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and as I said, it was nice because also the estate agents were a bit happier about that as well, because they weren't. Spain's very big, and so we were looking at one, and we're like, okay, well, we could do this one and this one, but then when you actually get there and figure out where they are, it was like literally like a 2-hour drive, wasn't it, between 2 of the houses. So again, that was another reason we went back to the drawing board and kind of like properly found out where they were, because when it's online, it's not always exactly where it is. So make sure you contact the estate agent and just say to them, like, is it close to which town, so that you kind of can figure that out a bit better. Yeah,
100%. A lot of the listings on Idealista and on ThinkSpain, they actually put a false location for the house, particularly if there's nobody living in the house.
Yeah.
And they do that obviously for to stop squatters from knowing there's an empty house and going and finding the empty house and moving in. So always kind of check with the estate agent where that area is or where that house is, and don't just go on where those houses are shown on the maps, because 99 times out of 100 the house isn't where the map says the house is.
Yeah. And we did notice, because a few times we'd said to the estate agents, oh, we'd like to see these properties, and they were like, okay, well, I can only show you this one today, and then this one I can't show you till next week because of it's like X amount of time away. So it's another thing. We were literally going over for like 5-6 days at a time. So if you can, try to arrange your viewings in advance, because it's very relaxed out there. Like, nobody's in a rush, which is completely fair enough. It's actually lovely, but it's not lovely if you're looking for a house and you've got limited time. So make sure you get everything booked in advance for things that you definitely want to see, and confirmed. So step 3 is where it starts getting serious.
So this was where it was really started getting interested. We'd narrowed our area. We knew where we wanted to be. We knew what we were looking for, and we kind of spoke to the agents in that region and knew exactly where they were. On this trip, our 3rd trip now, looking at houses, just Gem and I went. We didn't take the kids at all. We left the kids locked in a cage in the back room. I'm joking, they were with a family member. And we went out and kind of set our goal to find somewhere on this trip, because we'd been a couple of times before and had left really disappointed.
Well, I think it was the 2nd trip where we actually found the house that we fell in love with, didn't we? And that's the one that was actually sinking, and we have done another video on that. So we definitely left after that just feeling really disheartened, because at the end of that trip we were like, we found the one, oh, we're so excited. And then obviously being back in the UK, we had builders go out there for us to check it all out, and that's when we found out, and we were like, great, not only are we no longer in Spain, we no longer have
what we thought was the house we were going to look at.
So this 3rd time it was just us, wasn't it, that went out to kind of...
We didn't think it was fair to put the kids through another trip. We thought we'd found the house. The kids were there with us. We thought we found the house. And we didn't think it was fair to then put them through another trip of, oh, we found the one, and then get there and it's like, oh, no, we haven't. So we decided to go out ourselves. We started off by looking at a house, the cracked house that we showed a video on. I think it was our previous video. We can link it somewhere around up there. And it absolutely hammered it down. But as you've seen before, that house wasn't for us. So after we'd looked at the cracked house, we actually had a viewing at a house just around the corner from our house now, with a local agent called Diego. That house was actually massive. It was a huge house. It was actually really quite a nice house for the price. The cons outweighed the pros on that one, I think. The next door neighbours, who were lovely, they were really nice people, Spanish couple, both sides, obviously we're in Spain. And it was mid-terrace, which is what we live in the UK. The only problem was one side had kind of about 10 dogs and probably about 5 cats. We just, to get to our garden, we had to go across a road. There's only a little kind of parking area. There's only a little parking area, but that. And then the dogs were running loose on that road from the neighbours, and we just didn't feel like that would have been, the house was perfect, but we just didn't feel like that whole scenario would have been a great place for the kids. We wouldn't have been comfortable with them out and about playing. We'd have already been
You've always been on edge a little bit, and especially when they're kicking around their footballs or anything like that. You just
know what one of the dogs is going to do you?
And also the land with that property, it wasn't near the house. It had land, but it was like you had to like walk to it, didn't you? And we just really wanted to like come out of our front door and just be in our own place, and that just wasn't it, was it?
No. So we left there, and that was kind of the 2 main houses we'd come to view. And straight away that was a no for both of them. So we were feeling again deflated. Another search had failed, and we went back to the estate agent that showed us that the second house actually owns a bar in our box as well. And we went back to his bar, and we were sat having something to eat, and he's got a little kind of a board up at the bar that shows all the properties. And while we were there, he kind of said, "Oh, I might have one, but it's not what you might be looking for. But have a look at this," and pointed to the house on the board. And we were like, "Well, we're here anyway. Go and take us." Was like, "How far away is it?"
Yeah.
And it was 10, 15 minutes from his bar. So we were like, "Look, just take us. We'll go and have a look. We're not like just let's go." Went there and the rest is history. Jem fell in love straight away. Me not so much. And yeah, that was it. Decision made.
Yeah.
We knew it was what kind of we wanted on the trip. It was not as big as we'd hoped, but it had more than we'd hoped or more than we'd expected. In terms of the quality of the house, the condition of the house, and everything like that. It was much more suitable for 2 young kids to move into. Yeah,
definitely. And because it was actually a 2-bedroom house, or it is a 2-bedroom house. However, when we went to see it, the main room, you could easily put a divider in and make it into 2 decent sized bedrooms, couldn't you? So that was like, okay, well, it's not perfect yet, but we didn't expect perfect yet. So it was so much nicer than a lot of the other places that we saw. And it's just the land, like you just can't get over that view. Like it is just beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And it's nice to live simpler as well. Now there is less space. Now it's not a big house.
Yeah.
We're looking at things that we've had in the house and we don't need that. It's not a necessity. And it's turning our minds from the kind of the consumer culture that is the UK, making us think of, actually, do we need that? Do we want that? What's the benefit to us buying that?
Yeah.
Rather than, oh, Amazon's fired this advert at me, I must buy it, or Amazon's suggesting this week, or Amazon's got a 20% off sale on this, or anything. It's now kind of making conscious decisions around what we're buying, rather than just buying for the sake of it.
Yeah, and it's like we're actually quite excited because even like making the most of space, it means that a lot of the furniture and stuff like that we're going to have to eventually get, it's going to have to be bespoke to us, which is going to actually be really, really nice because we're probably going to try and make quite a lot of the stuff, aren't we?
Yep.
We've got so many ideas for that, haven't we?
Yeah, 100%.
But it'd just be so nice that it's just what we need, and then we pretty much just sleep in there anyway because you want to be outside as often as possible, and that's the life we've been wanting. So it's really good, isn't it?
100%.
So that's our story. That's how we found an abandoned house for €40,000 in Spain.
Free trips, sinking scare, a bar owning agent later, and we had our place.
We did.
Huge shout out to that 80s guy 61 on YouTube for asking the question. Really appreciate it.
Definitely.
And we'd love to hear more of what you guys think.
Yeah, and any questions, please ask us and we'll do our best to answer them as honestly as possible.
We're certainly not experts. We can tell you from our experience what we had to, or what we went through, or from our experience whether things feel right or not.
Definitely.
It'd be great to hear from you in there.
Yeah, we look forward to seeing you in the next video.
Hit subscribe.
Yes, please do.
Bye.